And I'll send this other status to you as well.
All right,
Take a
and we
look
are rolling.
and read it yourself. I'm trying to see if I can. Okay. I'll have to screenshot it and then send it to you.
All right, yeah, I'm just putting this shit on.
You're gonna put it on the page.
Yeah, well, I'm putting it on the fucking screen.
Uh,
You should be able to see it right now, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, I get what you're saying. It's
Mhm.
stupid as hell. I mean, is that baby doesn't even look Japanese. I hate that. They see Asian baby and they're like, oh, we got it. We got it. That's bullshit. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He
You
looks
know,
more Chinese than anything, but
it's it's a tired argument.
yeah.
I think what people are missing is this, all right? You're taking a movement about humanity,
Hmm.
all right? That's all it is. It's a
Yeah.
movement about humanity.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna stop the share real quick. And you're turning it into something unpure. And I mean that right there is just unpure, you know? I mean, the point is, yeah, don't ask the descendants of slave owners, we want our money, we want this, we want that, you know? It's always been you came to this country with nothing and you could make something out of it.
Right.
We Yeah, we all didn't coexist at the same time,
Mhm.
but at the same time, we helped each other out, even if it's shitty circumstances, in the
Right.
best of ways that we could. Unfortunately, that was tilling crops, selling those on markets, and using African Americans for it. I mean, that's just like when the Irish were coming off the boats, they would separate the families. So
Hmm.
the women would get, positioned in a women's group, and the men would sign up right then and there on the docks to go join the Union Army.
So, what do you say to the people that say like, um, well, I should be pissed too because how they did Irish people because
Oh, I make that point. I make that point. I'm like, all right, fine. Then how about I've made the point? Hey, I'm Japanese American. How about you apologize to me for putting my family in the camps for 4 years? Everything I hear is that is racist. You are not black. You are not a person of color. You are white. One of these days, all right, like I was telling you, me and you, we have two different thoughts, right? But we agree on some things. And I'm like, the way that the climate was going at the time that we were talking about this,
hmm
that if you didn't have some kind of, you know, hesitation, like I would tell you, hesitate a little bit when we're in front of people.
right.
Put on a facade. Don't be 100% real
Hmm.
because you'll be looked at as an Uncle Tom.
Right.
You'll be looked at as a, porch monkey or a, master's boy. You
Hmm.
will. And that's what we're seeing now.
Hmm.
Anyone who agrees or meets in the middle is now getting chucked off the wagon
Right.
of this movement.
Hmm.
And why? Someone posted up, if you don't, one of my relatives said, if you put all lives matter, um, you know, unfriend me. I was so close to unfriending that person just so that they could shout to my whole family how much of a racist I am.
Right.
Just so that one of my family members could show the picture of me and Crystal.
Yeah.
Be like, you really think he's fucking racist? You
Yeah.
really think that he thinks that black lives don't matter?
I think that what is taken away from though is, in this society, I feel that there is a lot of, some people think that Black lives having to matter means no other lives matter. And that to me is not the case of the situation at all. That's just, there's a group that needs help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
there's
un-
always a group
yeah,
of
you understand the message of it. You understand the purpose of it and whatnot. Has it probably been hijacked for political reasons and so forth and so on? Possibly. You know, um, I think that what people are doing is taking it and making it about themselves. And, their people, I feel like this is a very, very reactionary society and a lot of victim shit going on. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to, well, what about this and what about that? And I feel like when people do that, nobody's listening.
no, no one does listen. And
Mhm.
I told you that before, um, when we would talk about it. You know,
Hmm.
I was like, well, hold on, calm down.
Yeah.
I get
Because we
you're
got a lot of,
emotional. You know,
right.
it's an emotional subject. It
Hmm.
was back when Trayvon Martin was shot.
Hmm.
And everyone thought that
Yeah.
George Zimmerman was this white guy, and it turns out he's a northern Hispanic who got adopted by Jewish parents. That's why he has the name Zimmerman. You
Right.
know, everyone rushes to judgment. I think what's going on is from that first case and the fact that radicalists within any movement haven't gone away. They've
Mhm.
just gotten stronger. They've gotten
Right.
better at
Mhm.
making the message. Because, I mean, we can all share shit that is just
Right.
fucking amazing.
Right.
I mean, look at Seattle right now. You
Hmm.
got fucking a area, 6 block area that was an autonomous zone, probably still is,
Hmm.
and like children, they're like, no, we're gonna shut ourselves in the room, and we're not gonna get out until our demands are met.
Hmm.
Like I was telling you when we first talked about race,
Right.
and how me and you would go at it with all guns going, you
Hmm.
know, is because it did. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone when we talk about race would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with these two?"
Yeah.
It's like they're two minorities going at it. It's like, and they're saying the same message,
Right. Right.
but no, it's more or less you have to get to the root of the problem. Yes. Can you be emotional?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can you be emotional, reach a conclusion? Yes. We have done that many a times.
Right.
We've still had points that we don't agree on. No one's going to agree on anything.
Right.
And we know that. Me and you know that personally. Me and everybody else I meet that thinks I'm an asshole racist and then actually talks to me and they're like, oh, yeah, I misjudged this guy. Like, wow.
Yeah.
But it takes conversation that's not going on because people don't want to get their feelings hurt.
I know.
And I believe that a lot of this new culture, this council culture, this you're a racist, you're a
Mhm.
misogynist, you're a transphobe, you're an Islamophobe. All this PC culture has to go. Just like I told you before, all of this shit has to go.
Right.
You can't have a conversation when you're shutting the door. I'm sorry for shutting the door on you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That's what I was saying earlier when I was talking to some friends. I said, the biggest thing that I'm starting to see is, friends that, I try to explain to my friends. I'm like, man, it's one's the scenic route, and one's the fast route. Same
Yes,
destination. You know what I'm saying? But
but
I feel like the moment somebody says that, they say all lives matter, or um, they don't like the looters in the rioting. They're deemed racist. They're in this, and it's like, some girl jumped on there and was like, you need to specify what rioting and looters are you talking about, and he was just like, the looters and the rioters who were tearing shit up, and it wasn't anything about race. It wasn't about race until she brought it up, and then it was just this whole explosion of things. And I know this guy, he doesn't have a racist bone in his body. He really isn't. And he was just like, he was just getting ripped apart, man. People were jumping on him and so forth and so on. And it's just like, how come when somebody says something, they have to be, they can't be, you can't lump them all in together. Like somebody, somebody says this that about all lives matter and so forth and so on or whatever. Instead of deeming them racist, why don't y'all sit down and just have a conversation on why they feel all lives matter? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
people are bringing up things like way back in slavery, Emmett Till stuff, and I'm like, I get it, I understand, but these people had nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they're coming from a point of view where they really do feel like all lives matter because in their eyes, maybe they are trying to get closer to equality and things like that. And I don't think they ignore the plight of Black people. I think they just, they want to believe maybe that it's not as prevalent as it used to be and things have progressed. I mean, because we have progressed as a society. I think so. And I feel like right now it's just fucking gaslit. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
we're just taking all these steps backwards. And I feel like uh, we can all sit down and have these conversations that, make us, we're different, but that's what makes this country great. But nobody does that anymore. The moment, like you said, the moment somebody says something, now you're transphobe, you're a homophobe, you're this, you're that, you're race right off the bat. And it's like, like, dude, can you imagine the shit me and you talked about back then? Somebody coming up and hearing us?
Well,
Dude,
you
we
should
be
already know that they didn't like that.
at the airport. We're talking and the conversations we, if somebody fucking heard us, nowadays, and who knows, man, we fucking police come up, show up, and then all of a sudden we be like, what the fuck? Who knows? Because everybody's so sensitive. But it was conversations that me and you had, and it was honest conversations, but not once did I ever feel disrespected by you. You didn't feel disrespected by me. It was just the way it was,
Yeah.
and then I feel like we do need to sit down and have these conversations. Nobody's fucking talking on either side. It's just, you know, you got the radical right, the radical left, and that's it. Nobody's in between trying to have a conversation to talk about, why they feel this way or anything. And, you know, my friend who they ripped him apart, we messaged each other and talked, and I just, I told him, you don't got to explain yourself to me. I know you're not racist, and he just said, like, I'm just really, he didn't agree with the rioting and looting because it affected everybody in the community, and everybody is Black, white, Hispanic, whatever in the community, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that were harping on them, they weren't even Black, but um, it's just that no, they weren't, dude.
I know. No, I know.
They ripping this fucking guy apart, and you know, I felt bad for him, but it's just like I'm I'm tired of what I'm tired of is the attacking of our friends and our family, and getting personal. Like, just talk to that person, understand that person, where that person is coming from. I'm pretty sure that when if they had a talk and so forth and so on, they can come out, shake hands, and be like, that was actually relatively easy versus just spewing all this hatred. It's just, I don't know, man. It's
Yeah, and I'm seeing this. So it's funny. So I sent you two things in Messenger.
okay. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take a look.
just check them out.
Okay.
It's fucking ridiculous, man. It is just fucking. And you know what? There are two of our coworkers, and I'm
Mm,
not gonna name them, that we
yeah.
used to work with. One used to do Air Force contracts.
Okay.
You remember him,
Yeah.
Mister Everybody's Business. Me and Cisco, or me and Army ripped him
Yeah.
up and down over the airborne shit.
Right. Right.
Yeah, he's one of the big posters, and then the other one's Mister New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's another big poster too. And I'm just like, and they're just like, oh, you're just. They don't call me a racist. They're just like, I don't get your reservation about this, and
Mm-hmm.
why you would think that this is okay to say what you say. And I'm like, because it's my right. I served my country to allow you guys to do this. It's like I have been through not literal hell of combat, but yeah, hell. And
Mm-hmm.
what I am seeing scares the ever living fuck
It
out of
should.
me.
It should. Dude, it should scare anybody because what's next after this isn't good for anybody if it gets to that level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we can both agree that this is different than Trayvon Martin. You know, you have everybody protesting. You know, people are pissed off. I mean, hell, even Utah protested for fuck's sakes. You know what I'm saying? This is different. This is different than Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner. And I mean, this hit differently because I think that um, in the Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin situations, in those particular cases, I feel a lot of people simply looked at the facts of the matter and said they fought back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason why I felt one way about Zimmerman was because he was specifically told not to pursue, and he was just, a overglorified neighborhood protection person. You know, that doesn't give you means to use anything. Well, he got his ass whooped by Trayvon and got scared and shot him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of people, what I've seen and heard out of those arguments was that he fought back. Well, Zimmerman wasn't a fucking police officer,
No.
you know. But what I feel like this is different is because when you watch that video of George Floyd and that dude was sitting on his neck, man, he was already detained, and it was heart wrenching to watch. It really was, because it was just like, for what? 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Just, I mean, it was hard to watch, and I think that that video struck differently in people because it was just like, well, what the fuck is, like, there's a lot of people probably just, I felt, were like, what the fuck is this shit? Um, but this should scare people because the next step here is just an all out, just, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And
you know
here's the thing that I think is hilarious, and I'm going to use the word hilarious.
Mhm.
Charles Manson is rolling in hell, laughing his ass off because he couldn't even done a better job. He couldn't have done a fucking better job.
Right.
He is laughing his ass off watching how divided. I mean, for fuck's sake. Oh my god, I am just amazed. I am like,
But see, and that's the thing that I think people are so consumed in their message and what they're trying to say and to get the other side to understand that they don't even see the division and the rift and how big it's become. You know?
mm-hmm,
I mean, you know, I'm gonna say this, and I'll probably get some flack for it, but I don't give a shit. I do not think that racism is as prevalent in this country as the media makes it out to be.
no, it really isn't.
I do not, because sure, do we have racists here? Yes, we do. But is it as prevalent as the media makes it out to be? Fuck no, I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I think enough people to have gone through life, struggled, and went through things that they're just like, life is life. I don't have time for a lot of bullshit. If you're if you're a dumb person, stay away from me, type of thing. And unfortunately, somebody can just say, something, and then all of a sudden, here comes the enigma. Here comes the enigma of the color coming out. Just bam, 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 bam. And it's just like, man, it had nothing to do with anything like that. I just don't like you because I don't like you, and now it's this whole ordeal and whatnot. But I think that we have to step back. Like, I look at it as a family, a family that has issues. We need to take a step back, address the issues, and
Mm-hmm.
come together. And I do not, I'm not naive. Some people are gonna call me naive, fucking Uncle Tom, whatever. But you know, I'm serious. I don't think that racism is as prevalent as the media makes it out to be. Right now the media has his teeth sunk into this shit and is gaslighting the fuck out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey, don't worry about being Uncle Tom. I'm a fucking Twinkie. So I'm a fucking
But
Twinkie.
no, I guess that it's this perceived notion that as a black man, I'm supposed to be angry and I'm supposed to just or be like this way. But it's I've seen the things that I've seen. I've been through enough in my life to formulate an opinion on my own that I really don't think it's like that. Yeah, you have racists. Okay, that's a given. But is everybody like racist? Like they're making it. The media has people going out of their house feeling like I gotta stay away from white people, or if you're white, I gotta stay away from black people, et cetera, et cetera. That's exactly what the media wants it to be, that fucking division.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like neighbors are cautious and before they warn, and it's just like, it doesn't even need to be like that. But you see, that's the whole media just gaslighting the shit out of it, and friends that were friends now, but just because they see something different. That's another thing that I can't stand. When the hell did it'd be okay that if somebody disagreed with you, all of a sudden now you have to personally attack them and tear them down and stuff? And it's like, no, just it's okay to disagree. Like
Oh,
at the end,
it's been way before you came out with the boom. I know that because that
well,
shit was happening when I was younger.
right,
That's some schoolyard shit. But at the same time, it really isn't because no one ever remembers past presidents shit they've said. So
right,
and that's why I'm telling you, it's like we've seen this before.
yeah, we have
We've had this argument before, and it's not
exactly
even an argument. It's just a with me and you, we let it get to as much of a frequency. And yeah, I am putting this inward because it's a broken record
right,
inward, you know. And yeah, I am gonna make this about me and you because we're doing this together.
right.
You know, maybe it's just this one video, maybe it's more than that, but with politics included, this is the biggest stumper. I think the biggest issue before this was poverty. I think race and poverty are the two biggest issues
Hmm.
that come round and round full circle like no one's done anything and nothing's happened.
Right,
And as I've told you before, progress is never going to be as fast as people want it to be
no,
because it just bureaucracy doesn't work like that.
right,
If you want that kind of bureaucracy, guess what? Like I've told you and like I've told everybody else, you want that quick mechanism? Get the fuck on. The UK does that shit. Canada does that shit.
hmm,
Fucking Western Europe now does that shit. You know? So, I mean, if they want that, cool. Go frame somebody and do whatever. No one, I have not heard, maybe the racists, but from the LE community, I have heard nobody defend these four motherfuckers. Not only that, I have heard a lot of people from the LE community say, why haven't they been charged? Why are they still on duty?
hmm,
Why are they not at least suspended without pay?
hmm,
Why did none of the usual precautions come up with these guys?
hmm,
What is the distinction right here? Now, when the riot started, that's when we saw the both sides, just fucking increase
yeah,
everything. All of a sudden, we see incidents in Georgia. If I can find, I can never find, no, no, if I can ever bring it up, I found, and I would have to wait for my next laptop to come in,
hmm,
probably to do that. But no, I found a video of the DPD shooting a guy's car with pepper balls.
hmm,
He gets out and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you hitting my car? Get going, get going." Oh, I would. If you stop hitting my car, bam, 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 right back at his car. But he's telling him, hey, my girlfriend's pregnant. The
Right.
fuck are you doing?
Mhm.
Trying to do this. It exists. Before we recorded, we talked it existed. And hold on 1 minute. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So race and poverty are the two themes that politicians like to like to harp on,
Yeah.
and it gets the vote. And it's I don't think it's surprising that this has happened during an election year.
Right.
Do I believe that the police did this, to screw over anybody? No. No, I don't. Do I believe the police are being reckless? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They are
I,
most they are being very reckless.
we
And
have. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but we definitely have a police problem because I think that, and I'm not making excuses for police officers. I think they have a huge training issue.
hmm
There's so much that they're not being taught, and there's so much they're not being taught. So much things they're because you know how it is. You get a bad instructor that shows you how to cut corners and shit, or what you know what I'm saying. It's no different than that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, what is it? The program is like 8 weeks to get through. Think about it this way. You know, they go to a lot of shit that normal people would run away from. Okay. Because I can't stand here and pretend to know what it's like to be a police officer when you get a call and it's like, hey, there was a shooting over here, so forth and so on. And you got to assess the situation. It's crazy, it's hectic. 8 weeks it's not nearly enough to teach you how to break down a crazy situation. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
8 week training, because when you really think about it, they might touch on this on that initial subject that I talked about. Then there's a shooting. How would you react? They might touch on that for one day out of that 8 weeks. You know what I'm saying? That's not enough to teach somebody how to actually assess a situation and go into a situation. Like Tamir Rice, the little boy, the 12-year-old boy with a toy gun. I feel in my opinion, there was no excuse for that little boy to die.
no, there
You
wasn't.
roll up and they shot him in less than 2 seconds. Where's your training? And it's a 12-year-old boy with a toy gun. You're professional. You should know what a toy gun looks like. He was playing cops and robbers with his friend. That's where, and then that's another thing too. How do you roll up in another situation in that situation and in less than 2 seconds just shoot somebody? That's not what you're supposed to assess a situation. Look at the situation so you know how to approach the situation. And I just feel like some departments, just like some airlines train differently. You know, um, some
uh,
departments have better training. I think that as a whole, 8 weeks is not enough. There
mm-mm.
needs to be some kind of main course that they have to go through to understand, so that way they can better respond to certain situations and know, okay, this guy is in duress. He's not a threat to me, but he's in major duress, or this guy's a threat, and you know what I'm saying. Versus everybody's a threat, and treat everybody as such. Like what that don't fucking help no situation.
hmm Well,
You
here's
know.
how I look. So I mean, we can break the police down in two ways
Hmm.
for their training. We can give them 12 weeks, 3 months. I believe the Army or the Marine Corps actually does that for their MP training.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I believe it's 12 to 13 weeks that you get for MP training, and it goes through everything. I went through the 8-week program in the Navy,
Hmm.
and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because they were talking about the police being militarized. because they look scary. They got that bargain shop camo on.
Yeah.
Um, no, no, they were not trained to be like the military, because if they were, you make it very evident as to why you're closing off a block.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you are trained in military law enforcement, that area that you are at is your responsibility.
Right.
Nobody gets in, out. Um, you know, if that was true, I mean, if that was true, roadblocks would look a lot different in America.
Right.
They'd be having weapons up like this, ready to go. I put my finger on the trigger. Unsafe, safe, unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what they'd be doing. They'd be going up. It's pretty shitty. You lose all your rights in the military, all your constitutional rights, except for the search and seizure, and um, searches have to be permissive. But then again, when you're fucking dealing with drunks, I mean, it's not hard to get permission.
Right.
Um, yeah, you can go that course, 13 weeks of training.
Right.
The one thing that's always bothered me about it is their background checks seem to only be for the state.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about putting them on the good old FBI background check, huh? You remember those background checks? Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you work for the government again, so. But yeah, do the FBI background check first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say you could even institute, instead of doing different states, turn
Mm-hmm.
it all into the ANP. So we'll call it the U.S. NP, so the U.S. National Police. There you go. You go recruit for one state. Um, you go recruit in one state. They send you to a national training center somewhere in the middle. You go do your 13 weeks of training. You do your on the job. Uh, you do your remedial training once a month. Um, excuse me. You do your different shifts, and then put others on reserve if you need to retrain after that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've always thought about that as an idea. Why not do that? Well, because that seems more like a military theme. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Right.
It's like you guys don't want. It's like cops don't actually live in the areas that they patrol. They're
Yeah.
not supposed to. If they do and get caught, they're out of the force for lying. First of all, that makes a very bad situation for somebody.
Right.
That's why you don't see a lot of attacks going against the police at their homes. Lawyers, sure, but not so much police,
Right.
because they don't live in the area that they patrol. But everyone seems like they do. So, I mean, this only panders to the radicals. If you feel like we need that drastic of a change, okay, fine. FBI background check. For safe measures. Hey, really? Sorry. For the states that stop. For the states that are different,
Mm-hmm.
have different means. CBP. You remember doing that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, do the CBP background check too,
Mm-hmm.
because they got to get their seals too. They
Yeah.
have to be qualified to do all that, just like we did. Um, and then after that, guess what? You hire someone in Colorado, send them to Nebraska. You hire someone from Nebraska, send them to Los Angeles. You
Right.
know, if this is just pandering, but these are solutions that are easily ramified, but they
Yeah.
don't want to do it. It costs money. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
companies just pay out the ass. So fine. Then how about we privatize the police then? How about you take it away from the cities and you privatize it?
Right.
How about you do that then? Oh no, you can't do that because then they're not accountable to the people. Well, I mean, yeah, they are actually because it's a company doing that. That company will be sued. That company will
Yeah.
be fined out of the ass
I know.
if
You
they
know
fuck up.
they would. They would be these businesses and these companies. I mean, they would be screwed. Um, what do you feel like on the calls of to defund the police? What do you think are some of your? What's your what is your position on that? What do you think
Well,
about?
when I first heard about it, I'm like, no, no way, no how, nothing, no, 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 none of that. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, all right, fine. I'm like, which stance though? Because me and you are on the moderate stance.
Yeah.
Fine. Guess what? Um, yeah, sure. Cops don't have to be there for everything,
Hmm.
but they technically need to be there for everything.
Right.
Believe it or not, firefighters and paramedics aren't going to go to a scene until it's secured.
Hmm.
That's that's just the whole thing about
But-
it. I Aurora, I know Aurora has taken big steps with they have mental MHTs and their mental health teams,
Right.
and they'll go out with the police to the scenes. And if it's a scene where they could be useful, they'll step in
Right.
or they'll advise the police on what needs to be done.
Hmm.
Like here's this person's, mind frame right now. Let's see what we can do other than pointing, putting out the gun and shooting, or taking out the taser in a heart condition.
Right.
Um, I'm fine with that. I like the MHTs.
Right.
That was addressed because of that veteran that was killed in Aurora, because he had PTSD and he was on a combat patrol. I do that in my sleep sometimes.
Hmm.
I just drill in my sleep. My wife tells me about it.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. Yeah,
Well, I
just
mean, you would go in the break room and fucking be scared as
yeah.
be scared. You would walk out, come back in, you awake? Yeah, why? What's up? I mean,
Mm.
so
Right.
um, yeah, I do believe let's put them in other areas, but to do the radical thing and actually defund the police, have we not been in this position before?
Right.
In 1950s, 1960s LA, with two clubs that were started as militias and just ballooned into the worst hijacked movement ever.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about. And it's sad because if they had served their original purpose and kept doing it, I'm pretty sure LA would have kept them away.
Right.
So, I mean, it's either good or bad. Which one are you going to take? Are you going to take your own people abusing your neighborhoods, or are you going to take somebody else coming in and abusing the neighborhood? That's how I look at it. Um, I had been sarcastic with one of our former coworkers
Yeah.
about we need to take veterans out of the police force. And he fully was serious about it. He's
He
like,
would
yeah,
he would full assault, didn't he?
yeah, he's like, yeah, well, we need to take them out. They can't be looking at people like the enemy. They need patience. I'm like,
Well, see, here's the thing, man, and this is like I said, I'm in no way or form. I'm not making excuses for police.
mm-hmm,
No, I do. Some cops are biased. Some cops are just they are who they are, and they carry that what's that complex. But I do believe that there is good cops. Not all cops are bad. but I do like in mass scale situations and in situations like that, where George Floyd and Trayvon Martin and so forth and so on and all that. I feel as if, I mean, I just think they need a better training, man. I think, I don't know if people knew this, but like, there's laws that it's illegal to keep a couch on your front porch.
Hmm.
There's laws like that are out there, and I feel like the training and old laws and things like that are silly. I think the whole system needs, to be looked at, and it needs to be changed according to the new society and so forth and so on. Just, I feel like, and then I think also cops need to be there should be yearly evaluations on their psyche, on their well-being and things like that, not because of, because some people are like, because they need to get the bad cops out of there. Well, think about it like this. Look at our veterans. Okay, they've seen some fucked up shit in their life. Okay, there's nothing that is going to help them through life when they've seen friends their best friend's head get split like a watermelon, blown up, etc. I mean, how do you live through something like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Think about it. Okay, they see terrible things. Now, cops see fucked up shit too.
Hmm.
They see suicides, murders, car accidents. How is that any different from than what our vets see? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in my eyes, they see fucked up shit too. And then how do they deal with that? How do you deal with that? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of normal people I know, hell, seeing half the shit veterans or cops seeing, it, you know what I'm saying? It fucks with you.
Yeah.
It fucks you up.
It does.
And I think that there needs to be yearly evaluations. I think there needs to be, a stricter enforce of, if they have a lot of complaints or violations, then they need to be gone or so forth and so on. But, a lot of this stuff is loosely just, it's loosely enforced,
Hmm.
and I really think that we should also take into consideration these guys' mental health, because this is a lot of shit to see. I mean, you're seeing kids in situations that you don't normally see and think, like, how much bad shit is on the news all the time. There's a story out there right now that I can't find anywhere in the news. It was and the only way I found out because a friend shared it through a GoFundMe. It happened right here in Denver, like in the Five Points neighborhood. It's an interracial couple. They were being harassed by their neighbors every single day. And then so one day, the guy, he's out, and he's shot unprovoked in the stomach.
Hmm.
Now he's fighting for he survived. He's in the hospital fighting for his life. He had considerable liver damage, but the son and the father I believe was the one that shot him. The son and the father, they live in the same complex as the victim and the victim's girlfriend. The suspects are out on bond, and so the victim, the girlfriend, she left the apartment, and they got to break the lease because obviously, but um there's things like that. Think about, like that story I can't find on the news sites anywhere, but
Yeah.
think about all the bad things that we don't even know about that's going on that cops do.
Hmm.
So, like I said, I'm not making an excuse for cops, because there's bad cops and there's good cops. I'm just trying to think of something that could be in place to make things better. And I definitely believe there needs to be a reform of police. There needs to be other training. It needs to
Yeah.
be longer. It needs to be more serious. To be like situations that they're actually going to face. Like, think about like our high school courses and shit that we took. It was bullshit. You know what I'm saying? None of that shit that we learned about in high school matters at all today. None of it does. So I can't help but think their fucking training is the same way. It's yeah, it's gonna, it'll give you an idea of what a situation is like, but see, it needs to be a training to where that their instructors put them in these high stress situations, and they can see and grade their individual officers on how they're going to react in the situation. So that way they can say, hey, you know what I'm saying? And they don't get enough time for that. 8 weeks is not enough
Mhm.
for them to really be in high stress, real world situations. And, they're not even trained on how to react or respond.
I mean, yeah, you're right. And, to piggyback off of that, um, you know, what you're seeing is this is where the military and the civilian side of anything actually come together.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why they don't want to put these guys through mental health
Right.
evaluation.
And why do you think that is?
Oh, they'll sideline them. Most definitely, they'll sideline them. You don't have enough police officers in the world
Mm-hmm.
to
Right.
have a whole shift get
Mm-hmm.
sidelined because they have to deal with their issues and what they see.
Right.
Just like we didn't have enough shifts in the military
Mm-hmm.
to cover me getting sidelined because I tried to kill myself because I'm having fucked up dreams and no one wants to say anything about it.
Right.
You know, I mean, and again, it's always going to be personal.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the personal thing, it's always going to be personal.
Right.
It's always going to be personal because that's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to get sidelined. I get it. I understand that. Yeah. Is there a way that you can do it without being sidelined? Of course there is. There's always ways to do it. But are they willing to do it? No, they're not willing to do it. Ride along. It's not just for um, not just for people. If the police did ride-alongs, one armed, one unarmed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reassess the situation because the guy that's armed is not going to give the guy that's unarmed the gun. He's going to be like, "No, this is mine. You didn't check this out. I did. You can't check
Right.
shit." There's going to be a position of responsibility then. So ride-alongs. That's one way you can change that. They're doing their mental health courses. They're still on shift, but they're not armed. All they're doing really is they'll be the arresting officer, and they'll do the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
That's what should happen. That's not what happened because everyone associates the police with guns. No one would think to take a police officer serious if he didn't have a gun. What
Right.
do you always hear? You hear, "Oh, if it wasn't for the gun and the badge." I don't know how many times I heard that as an
Mm-hmm.
MP. Not only did I take off my duty belt, I took off my badge. I said, "All right, fine, let's go." "Oh no, I'm good." It's like, no, no, come on, let's go. Nothing. You won't get arrested. It'll just be us. Let's do this. If you're tough enough, let's do this. I don't have my attitude because I hate the world. I have it because of experience. These police officers, they too have an attitude because of experience. But if we can change the perspective of the police officer, I believe we can go a whole step further. And I believe that that should be a part of the reform.
Mm-hmm.
A, before shift, give an hour to talking with the therapist. B, get on shift. Keep the fucking firearm away from that officer until he is cleared.
Right.
Handcuffs, taser, um, and the shift sheet. That way he can write down notes.
Right.
The one thing I always hated, and I fucking hate this. All right, and this is why I tell you that the military has no constitutional rights.
Mm.
We CCTV'd a fucking base to the nines, to the fucking nines in the Navy. There would be CCT cameras everywhere
Mm-hmm.
on small little outposts,
Right.
just so that you, it's just so that they were clear, just so we were clear in what we did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these body cams are nothing new. I've knew fucking guys that used to fucking get GoPros and put them on their vests
Mm-hmm.
and record a whole patrol. You know, they would give those to the watch commanders, and the watch commanders would, back when you could download them, would download those onto the shift
Mm-hmm.
uh, server. What I hate the most is that they give these police officers the
Why?
option to call off and they're done recording. I hate that. That is the worst option ever. We recorded everything. We were told if there was a lapse in your recording, if you choose to buy your own recording device, if there is a lapse in your recording, you are getting written up. If there are two lapses in your recording, then you're off duty.
Mm.
You're suspended until you can learn to be an adult, be responsible, and handle your own business.
Right.
So, the fact that they don't record ever, and I get it. Okay, fine. If they're back at the station, if they're back at the precinct, fine. We'll do in between, give a little privacy, for when they got to use the bathroom. I get it. Don't use it as an excuse, though. And the person who operates these body cams, I'm pretty sure knows how to recognize if someone's going to the bathroom compared to, some will go, I'm eating. It's
Right.
like you're not eating, you're sitting down. We all hear the zip, you know? So, it, and I also believe in this. There has to be common sense policing. What I'm seeing is not common sense. Like you were saying with the old laws, that's part of common sense policing. There are some laws that the police just are like, this is ridiculous. If common sense serves, I'm not going to do this because the last arrest was 105 years ago.
Right.
It's like we've moved on from this. And yes, you will have the guys who have no fucking common sense go by the fucking book and give a fine for a red Honda
Right.
or a black Honda being in Boulder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here you go. You're getting fined. Here's your ticket for having a black Honda in Boulder. It's like, who made that law up?
Right.
Or who made this up? You know why it was made? It was probably made because people, you know, uh, it was easy to steal out of that car.
Right.
Pop everything. But I'm getting on a tangent. But yeah, common sense policing. I play, the cop now and then, and we're not. It sucks. It sucks to watch these guys go through the system when they're clearly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is tough, but to sideline somebody is the worst thing you can do. Like I told you at my first station, I got sidelined after a magazine popped out of my pistol. But they didn't keep me sidelined. They let me go and do certain stuff. I just couldn't be armed.
Right.
So if we went out on a mission, I couldn't be behind the gun. I had to be there for the mooring. I had to moor the boat. I had to unmoor the boat. I had to, they're pretty fucking fast boats too.
Mm.
So you had to do everything by yourself. You were unarmed, not armed. You had to keep a watch, extra eyes, extra eyes, extra eyes. I mean, there's stuff that these police officers can do. You don't so much have to suspend them. but it's a feel good measure for the people
All right.
because this person's wrong. No, you know what? Guess what? The easiest way to do it isn't A to fire, isn't B to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Suspension with pay, without pay, it doesn't fucking matter. Guess what? Sideline the assets. Let them draw their paycheck. And again, I that's reasonable to me. That's
Mm-hmm.
fucking common sense to me.
Right.
Yeah, they fucked up, but you know, whether they will get charges, you find out quickly what their mindset is
Right.
as they're doing their patrol
Mm-hmm.
with somebody, first of all, as
Right.
a ride along in an arm. You damn sure find
Right.
out what that person is made of.
And that's why I feel like the training is no longer. I don't. I question if it was ever, you know, if it was ever good. But that's why I feel like they should put. It needs to definitely be longer,
Mm-hmm.
and they should when they do put them in these situations where I feel like in an active shooter situation or a cause like this or that, they should be on that for at least a week or so, and in that way their sergeant and their instructor, whoever's going, watching them or going through the course with them, they can see these how they're going to react and respond and correct the behavior and teach them to see differently. Like, you know, explain to them like, hey, this is this and this is that. I understand where you were coming from and why you acted the way you did, but what I'm saying, and then correct it, because then
Yeah.
that way you don't have any more Tamir Rices, because to me, in my opinion, there's no excuse for a 12-year-old boy being shot playing cops and robbers with his friend.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
you're
know what
right.
I'm saying?
You're right.
And
I would say active shooter should be 2 weeks
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I think so too. I
instead
mean,
of 1 week.
yeah,
Because I mean, if you put a 1 week restriction, it's 2 days in the classroom, 3 days on the line,
hmm
doing all that,
hmm
and that is the most stressful training ever.
yeah,
Active shooter, mass
I know.
casualty, that is stressful as
Yeah,
fuck.
it really is, and that's the thing. Like, that's why I encourage people to do is um, put themselves in the cop's shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got people flooding out at you, running at you, screaming. You don't even know. You're not even inside the situation. So you get, and then you stop and ask people telling you what's going on. They're frantic. So you're only getting bits, and you're only getting 10% of the 5% of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I encourage people to be empathetic and try to understand from a cop's shoes. Like I said again, I'm not justifying the behaviors, but I'm just trying come from a place of understanding. Whereas, because like I said, I can't tell a cop how I think he should handle a situation,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I just try to tell people all that, just think about it if you were a cop and the shit you see in one shift, and then imagine that in a week, in a month, in years, I mean, So I just feel like a lot of it has to be reformed and cleaned up because I mean, point blank period, shit like this shouldn't happen, man.
Mm-hmm. They shouldn't.
And they
And
shouldn't.
those officers, and the investigation should have gone differently. I think we give, they're right. We do give and invest a lot in our officers,
Yeah.
and it's because we trust them.
Mhm.
Everyone can say "fuck the police." I don't trust a pig. The best pigs hanging up in a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Chinese store window. That
Hmm.
no, that is not the truth. I mean, look at these guys in Seattle. They made their own cops. They're the people's patrol, but they're still fucking cops.
Right.
And what do they do? And here's the funny part: what are they doing over there too? They're doing immigration. They've got blockades. They're looking at people's papers. They're asking about ideology.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly what they railed about.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, and like I told you before, you have to pick between two evils
Hmm.
because you'll never get perfect. you could break every fucking egg. You're not gonna scramble this omelet.
Hmm.
You're gonna scramble this omelet each and every time.
Right.
You will not get this is not a perfect, and will it ever? It'll
Hmm.
never be a perfect omelet.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put this on pause. We're back. All right. All
Mhm.
right. So, and I would love to have that recorded.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these guys, and um, you know, we're gonna call those guys obey the laws.
Hmm.
All right. Let's talk about those guys, and I got that from a YouTube. So let's let's talk about these non common sense guys called obey the laws. So if you can try to go back to what you
So,
were saying again.
so I seen a comment where, and and we both see it a lot, where they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Stop breaking the law." Well, don't break the law. Then shouldn't have been resisting. Shouldn't have been this. So when I saw that on the comment, I replied to the person, and I had said, "So what you're saying is, if you to the level of offense here didn't warrant the response from the police."
No,
But
not at all.
in that person's comment, and what he was saying was basically it was saying that it was okay that it happened because he was breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
So I kicked it to the person that was on the thread that, and I said, so the next time you get pulled over for, I don't know, say going five over, you're saying that it's okay that four officers pull you out of your vehicle, put you on the ground, and one sits on your neck for speeding. Well, I mean, well, no, I said no, no. I mean, that's what you're basically saying because this man lost his life over an alleged $20 bill, fake $20 bill, which there's reports that said that the $20 bill wasn't even fake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so should that be the case then? Should that be the normal standard for just speeding for normal citations? Because I mean, you're breaking the law, right? And that's what the guy's basically saying. Don't break the law.
Yeah.
Well, you're speeding, you get pulled over, you're breaking the law. Well, let them throw your ass out of the car and sit on your neck then. Does that warrant that? Or the ones that have posted and said, um, if you I seen a post too that said, and this one here just took me just blew my mind. It was like, did you know that if you absolutely didn't break the law, police would leave you alone? And I was just like, well,
Yeah, how many times have we said that, and then all of a sudden, the TSOs would stop us. Can I see your badge, please?
yeah, and we're not doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just
Or the police would circle around the inner concourse. It's like, what are you doing, bro? It's like, here, I got this. Don't worry.
well,
Hey, what's
explain.
up, man? Oh, no, just checking. I'm like, hey, go pretty fast for being in the inner VSR there, buddy. He's like, I'm sorry. Yeah, here, let me.
Explain Tamir Rice, explain Breonna Taylor. I mean, there's many more, but that's what I'm saying is in their comments. See, I feel like those people that respond that way are maybe they feel like they're under attack because maybe they have family members that are police or they believe in the police and all that stuff like that. I'm not, I don't know what it is where they get so defensive and say that stuff, but you know, I don't know. I don't think they hear what they say, and I'm probably maybe when they were thinking it sounded better, and then it comes out and it looks a certain way, and it's like, well, I sure would hope that if your son was speeding, he wouldn't get treated that way.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
by your comment, you're basically saying that it would be okay for them to treat your son that way if he was caught speeding because, well, he's breaking the law, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, and Crystal's brought that up with me many a times,
Right.
and she's like, oh, well, if Daniel got shot, I'm like, she's like, would you be uh good on that? I'm like, you know what? I would respect the law. She's like, no, you wouldn't. I'm like, yeah, you fucking know I wouldn't. I'd be fucking flying down there,
Oh, I
fucking
know.
calling up some old buddies, getting some hardware, and going to work. and it's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure that either these guys are motivated, retarded, motard,
Mm.
or they're just motivated. You know.
Well, imagine this. The people that were saying that, I'm pretty sure that if their son or their kids were in that situation, they found out that it was over a fake $20 bill or what have you, they ready to burn this shit down too, man. You know,
They,
it
they would. they,
you
they
know,
would.
they would be pissed off, especially if it came out and it was just like, oh, he was really just, this was this and that, and then you see the video and it's like, man, he wasn't even resisting it. I'm, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
that's how I feel. It's just like take a second to understand, at least try to, and just say, look, this is what this is. It is what wrong is wrong, and
Hmm.
that was wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Then he brought into the fact that he had methamphetamines in the system and all this, and they were like, oh, it's illegal, and somebody was like, do we need to bring up high school and college days? And you know, his character wasn't even the question in it, and that has nothing to do with how they handled the situation. He didn't get
Exactly.
arrested because he was acting, um, combatant or anything like that. Was out, you know, harassing people or so forth and so on. It was
Hmm.
over an alleged fake $20 bill.
Yeah.
Regardless of the way I see it, is the situation and the facts of the matter is they shouldn't. They should have just put him in a squad car, arrested him, put him in, get the statements from everybody else, and do what they needed to do, and take him on down and look and process him, and let the justice system handle that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's two ways about it. I mean,
yeah,
from
I
the
know.
dash cam footage that they showed, they had him in the car, or they were putting him in the car, and then they put him out. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so what's going on here then? Why were you going to put him in the car and then you take him out?
Exactly.
And when I was reading the coroner's report with the investigation, part of the coroner's report also is to investigate. And it's like they did not let those cops off. That
Mm-hmm.
coroner did not let those cops off
Mm-hmm.
because it says in the report and in the investigation that they made public um, that he was, having an adverse reaction. Who's not going to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, no one knows what's going to happen. I mean, and it's sad that he had all these conditions. And yeah, substance doesn't help, and that probably helped kill him too. But so does being on somebody's neck, you know. And it's just it was unfortunate,
Mm-hmm.
and we can be on two different ends of the issue and all
Mm-hmm.
that,
Right.
and still agree on the middle ground. I mean, that's what me and you do.
Right.
Um, but anything else before we stop?
We'll go ahead and we'll figure out what we can talk about next week.
Sounds good. I'm
Yeah.
liking this. I am liking this. All
Yeah.
right, we are getting off of Apolitical Corner.